as an environment artist, one trap you can fall into is being either too clean or too dirty. Not you personally, but your texturing work. Procedural texturing has allowed artists to add grunge and wear and tear to textures pretty easily, and that's been a blessing, but it's also been a curse. It can lead the inexperienced, or let's be realistic, the rushed, to apply an even dirt layer to everything. So it looks like someone basically came along and lovingly smeared grime on every available square inch of an object or an environment piece. So let's fix that. For this video, I want to talk about environment art. We'll save props for part 2 perhaps. So in this age of procedurally tiling textures, it's easy to fall into the trap of creating a tiling texture that looks perfect and is evenly grunged up. You've added some noise to break it up, but basically it's pretty much evenly grimed up. But it somehow doesn't feel right in the scene. And one of the reasons for that may be that it's lacking the sort of grunge that makes it feel grounded. So by way of example, we're going to do something a little unusual for this channel. We're going to look at the real world. So we're going to look at a series of pictures here that that I took just walking around the city. Stuff I saw that kind of reinforced these concepts. So you're looking at this first wall. We can see this sort of staining and sort of dirt down here. This is what I'm talking about. Like generally with game art, you would get this area up here. This is what you would create in Substance Painter or Designer, I should say, and that would be your wall. But generally what's missing is this sort of grounding or anchoring dirt. And even here on the base of the window, there's a little bit of, there's some shadow there, but there's also a little bit of dirt and runoff, and we'll see more of that later. This dirt and runoff is not necessarily all that important, and it's important, but that kind of gets into more into the realm of localized dirt and damage, which is sort of a prop topic, which I said we'll get to next video. But this sort of thing makes the building feel like it's been there a little while, and it depends on the building and where it's sitting. But you can see this is like a parking garage, and we got some moss growing here. We got some dirt from where it's been scuffed and kicked, and there's been some rain runoff here. It's kind of stained the bottom part of this. There's a ledge, I guess, where water might accumulate, and then it's spilled over. Here's that same parking garage, but on a different side of the building. So we can see there's been, there's like a dirty patch here. Sorry, a patch of dirt, which is also dirty, I guess. But that's all been kicked up on the wall over time through people walking through here, through windstorms, through rain, that kind of thing. And so it's giving it that sense that the building belongs here. It hasn't just been picked up clean from the factory and dropped. You can also get into other things like a painted wall. We typically see this kind of thing quite a bit in video games. You have a painted wall, the paint's chipping off, there's dirt, there's runoff, that kind of thing. But you never get this kind of, well, I won't say never, but rarely you get this severe kind of chipping at the base where it's been, again, kicked and scuffed and that kind of stuff over time. And, the paint's almost gone down here, but up here where people don't touch it, it's just naturally cracking due to, weathering. And you get the same kind of effect on pillars. At the base of this pillar, you can see all the dirt and scuffing, and on steps. I mean, it's all the same stuff. It just all gets applied to in the areas where the objects touch the ground and get near where the action is. And as one final example, just some more of this. This is a pedestrian type area. We got the runoff from the windowsill, which is cool. But then also down here, you've got all that contact grunge. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about when I'm talking about trying to ground your textures. Now, yes, this kind of stuff is expensive, and that's generally why it isn't done, because to achieve this sort of thing, you generally have to have either a decal system, which can get costly. I've worked on projects where artists have tried to do this kind of thing, and it's like, what's the first thing that gets punted once the texture memory goes over limits? Well, let's get rid of those decals. We don't really need those. or it requires a procedural texturing system, which is hard to sell in a game that has large-scale environments and has a very real limit on the texture pool size and that kind of thing. So procedural texturing is generally out, and also, and the third way typically is you just have another version of this texture. You have one that's like this, nice and tiled, and you have one that's nice and tiled and has a dirty bottom. And so the artist can cut the wall, say here, and put the second texture on the bottom. That's also a problem in terms of texture memory, because this is an entirely new texture. And that's an easy cut once push comes to shove. So I think the reason you don't see a lot of this in video games is generally just due to the limitations of memory and tech and that kind of thing. But as we go forward, I think it's a worthwhile thing to think about, because that's what's going to start to give your scenes that sense of history and weight. And I just convey to the player, this building has been here a while. This building belongs here. So keep these concepts in mind when you're creating a modular set of meshes for an environment. Can you add some localized dirt and grounding grunge to give the scene a sense of history and story? Can you anchor your walls and pillars to make the world feel just that much more solid and believable and weighty? Or, just hide the base of the wall with some crates and bushes. Sorry, just kidding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.